The privacy of your phone has never been more important, and unfortunately, you've never had less privacy than you currently have. The reason is the government has taken a lot of liberties, and with technology, it's never been easier to tap into people's phones. It is scary easy. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what Edward Snowden recommends. You probably have seen the video of Edward Snowden desoldering his microphone and his camera. So what we're going to talk about in this video is how you can get a 100% complete private and anonymous phone, cheap, effective, and something you could use on a daily basis realistically without having to pretend that you're a CIA spy. Let's get it. Operation Private Phone. So what do we need for a private phone? Well, contrary to popular belief, the first thing we need is where do we get the phone from? When you go to buy a phone, most of you go to AT&T or T-Mobile or Verizon or Singular. Is Singular still in bit? Probably not. Probably no Singular. Whatever phone company you utilize, you go to them, you sign a little contract, and you give them your firstborn child and your soul. But after that, they give you a phone on payments, and you got unlimited nights and weekends. So what we have to do here is figure out how can we have a private phone, because that is the least private phone. You've given all your information, they've checked your identity, they now know where you live, and they stalk you when you're sleeping. So that is the worst possible outcome if you're looking for a phone for privacy. Now, I've talked about phone system, having burner phones, etc. Check out those videos. But if you want a private phone, a privacy-based phone, what can you do? Well, the first thing is, where do you buy it? Where do you buy it? Well, there's a lot of options here. You need to keep it out of your name. It's kind of like illegally buying a gun at a gun show that no one knows about because it's not in your name and there's no registry. I don't recommend doing that. I'm just saying, if you do, you do. But the reality is, when you're looking at the phone, you could buy them off Craigslist. You could buy them, off the streets. Make sure they're not stolen. But you could buy them from somebody who is selling like an iPhone SE or an iPhone 8, right? Or maybe an Android. Now, the best option is going to be Linux, or it's going to be a Google phone. I know, crazy, but with Graphene OS. Those are great options. But really, not having your name tied to it is one of the most important things. So you could buy it from the store with cash, a burner phone, and you're in a much better spot. Never use any real identity. Now, getting the phone is easy. There's a million ways to get the phone without using your identity. What I recommend is just buy like an iPhone SE in cash. That's the best option. The iPhone SE is a great all-around phone. If you're not going to do that, you're going to get an Android phone. That's a good option. Or if you want to get a Google phone with Graphene OS, that's another great option. So those are what I would recommend, and do it in cash. Great option. I talked about in my burner phone video why you should age phones, why you should age SIMs, and why you should age the phone itself. Typically 2 years. It's a little bit excessive, but I'll do 2 years. A lot of times companies won't have cameras more than like 3 to 6 months. 2 years, there's pretty much no companies who have any recordings even remotely that long. Not that I plan on doing anything illegal, and I hope you don't as well, but ultimately this is something you want to keep in mind when you're going through this process. You can actually age them. You buy an iPhone SE every year or two. It's really not that expensive, a few $100. And then over time, you've always got a fresh phone. It's what a lot of people in the privacy world do, and it's what I talk to some of my clients about in the privacy world, where you want to keep a completely secure phone. I've got multiple phone options, and we're going to talk about how you can have a carrier and a SIM card here in a second, because that's exactly what I do. But if somebody said, Cody, what would you recommend? Honestly, for me, iPhone SE. Now, you might be thinking iPhones aren't private. Well, give me a minute, and we'll get to that. But if you want the most privacy, Linux has some good phones. You could get an old school flip phone that's a burner. I like Blackberries. You can do a lot of good privacy stuff on Blackberries, as I've done videos here on this channel, so check out some of my videos that go more in depth in some of these topics. And of course, Graphene OS is a good option. So let's say we got an iPhone SE. Let's say we bought it in cash, or maybe you bought it off something like a secondhand website, maybe Craigslist, right? Okay, you got the phone. Cool. And if you do buy a secondhand phone, or you do buy a phone in cash, of course it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Make sure it's unlocked. Of course, if it's locked, you're going to have a problem. Your phone is worthless. So, what is a good option for a carrier? Mint Mobile. There's a lot of them out there, but Mint Mobile you can buy with something like privacy.com. Don't confuse it with my incredible website, PrivacyX Project, and privacyx.org. But privacy.com. You can put in your information, your burner card, which I've taught you guys how to get burner cards. So if you're following along with all my videos, you should be watching and liking and subscribing every time. Then you already know how to do this. If not, go watch the video. I talk about how to buy something privacy or privately with privacy.com, right? Sounds like a rap video. We'll make that later. But what we're doing right now is we're buying a SIM, right? You can use Mint Mobile. It's owned by Ryan Reynolds, who played Deadpool and Pikachu, so you know it's a good company, and he's Canadian. They've never done anything nefarious or bad, so we're probably in a good place, right? I mean, so now you have an iPhone SE or similar phone. You have Mint Mobile, right? And if you have the SIM card sent, where do you have it sent? Well, typically a UPS box, and we've talked about that before with the UPS store. Don't ever use the PO box. Use the UPS store. Are you going to have your identity on that? Well, they have laws where you have to know your customer, similar to the bank laws where you have to know your customer. Do you have your real address or a PO box on your driver's license? Best option is a PO box on your driver's license. It's a complete circle, similar to what I use on every other form. Like the IRS doesn't have my real address. None of these places, you use your PO box. They go there, or I should say, personal mailbox, UPS box, and it gives you an option to pick up your mail. There's some other more advanced secure options, secure private mailboxes that literally have privacy and anonymity built in. I'm actually working on a video on that because I'm working with a company here in Vegas where that's what they specialize in, is private boxes and completely private mail. There is no name, it's just a number and a security card you have to use. You lose that card, you're kind of SOL. But it's like a privacy locker / privacy mail. They accept mail, so it's a pretty cool service. And when you're seeing those pop up in big cities, of course, a city here like Vegas, you know, we're doing a little of this and a little of that. So it's a great place for that company to be. If you want nefarious activity, underground, underworld, you know, those kind of things, we got them right here for you. Come to Vegas, we got you covered. But we don't do anything legal in this city, I don't think. Now the governor on down, it's all illegal all the time. But so what we do is we have a lot of burner phones here in Vegas. And the iPhone SE is a good option with Mint Mobile. You can have it sent to your box, or you could buy it online. A lot of people buy things online through Amazon. The great thing about Amazon, you have the Amazon locker, so it's pretty much untraceable. But what I tell people is your Amazon account has to be untraceable, because if your Amazon account is in your name and you send it to an Amazon locker, that really didn't do you a lot of good. Now, did it? Because Amazon keeps a log of everything this account bought, but if you do your Amazon account privately. Now, you can do an Amazon account completely private, but it takes a lot of work nowadays because they verify more information now than they ever have after 2020. So it does take a lot more work to verify things on Amazon, but you can still do it fake because it's Amazon. We're going to talk about the big difference between verifications as an Amazon seller and an Amazon purchaser. They let Amazon purchasers do about anything because they want to get that sale. Amazon seller, you've got to do a lot more verifications. So it's kind of two different ways you're going. But both of them end up in the same place, which is an Amazon locker, which is completely untraceable, or your UPS box, the UPS box, or you can have it shipped to, you know, a lot of different places. Like I've worked with different companies, things like that, where I'll have stuff shipped to them, right? So maybe you know somebody at a company, maybe a big building. The other thing I do is you can do those virtual offices, which works really good. You can ship stuff there, which also there's a lot of virtual offices and there's a lot of small offices, places, bigger cities like here in Vegas, where you can ship stuff and it's not a real office. They just collect your mail, and most of them have almost no information. The ones I've used in the past have literally zero real information about you. I've even given fake names, and they have no idea. They don't care as long as you're paying your bill, right? So it's a really simple, low security system because they just figure everyone's giving the real information, because why would they not? Well, clearly, they have not met me. I never give out any real information anywhere, ever, under any circumstances. It's kind of my thing. So that way, when you're going down this process, it gives you the ability to get a real phone. Now, when you have the phone, that's the biggest problem. Getting the phone, okay. Getting the SIM, okay. We got an iPhone SE or another good phone. We've got Mint Mobile. There's other options, but I really like Mint Mobile, and they're completely anonymous and secure. I've been using Mint Mobile for a while, like a couple years now, and I love that service, so that's why I always recommend them. There are other services. I'll probably do a video on alternate services if there's interest in that video, because there's about 12 other services you could use that are pretty good, but Mint Mobile is a good one. And again, owned by Canadians, can't go wrong. The thing I would say, though, is once you got the phone, now you're in big trouble, because phones track you, stalk you, listen to you, spy on you, record you, watch you when you're in the shower. They pretty much do everything they can So what do you do? Like, how do you combat this? Well, one way you combat this is turn off all the privacy settings as far as GPS, as far as tracking, ad tracking, geo tracking. Basically, you go into the settings tab and turn off all the tracking. That's going to help a lot. Next thing you can do is keep it in airplane mode when you don't need the phone. That helps a lot because then there's a lot of things it can't track. Now, can it track some stuff in airplane mode? Of course it can, because that's how these phones are built. The next thing you can do is keep it in a Faraday bag on a regular occasion, which I've talked about, and I did a video on why I keep some of my phones in Faraday bags. I compartmentalize everything, so really you should have more than one phone. You might be thinking, Cody, that's crazy. These phones are expensive enough. I know, but I've done videos where I show a series of phones that I have for different things to different things I do, right? It's just part of life nowadays. Or plan on being tracked, everything you do. The next thing is, keeping your phone covered and only allowing it. Basically, here's how I live. I assume my phone is listening to me and recording everything I do. So very rare is the camera's exposed and very rare is the mic exposed. Because I assume. Now, is that true? Probably not. And even if it was, but I assume that. So my phone is never just laying around willy-nilly on a table or on the couch next to me or the chair next to me. That's not a thing in my world because I assume it's recording me and my own phone is working against me is what I assume. Edward Snowden assumes the same thing, and this guy literally has more information about this than pretty much anybody in the world that's willing to talk about it, of course, because he was part of the CIA, and he literally was the whistleblower that said, hey, this is illegal, you should not be doing this, and now he's a terrorist. Yeah, right. You can't just make any laws you want and then call people terrorists if they break them because it affects you, or I guess you can, but that's called being the U.S. government. But this is what's going to allow you to break this down a little bit. So this is the system I would take because I get asked this question every single day. What should I do? How do I have a private phone? Now, could you buy in a cryptocurrency? You can, and that's stupid because most cryptocurrencies are completely and utterly tracked. Is there any cryptocurrencies I could buy it in? Yeah, definitely not Bitcoin because that is the least private cryptocurrency on earth. But you can buy it with the Pirate Chain, R-A-R-R-R, Pirate Chain, or you can buy it with Zcash. No, Zcash is a failed experiment when it comes to privacy. But you know what's not? Monero. Monero is a great privacy coin. Here's the problem. You might have trouble getting people actually to accept Pirate Chain or Monero. So that is one problem. A lot of people are holding a lot of that, but some people have problems sometimes converting it and doing it anonymously. If you don't do it that way, you've just wasted a bunch of time and effort and energy because you might as well have bought Bitcoin or you might as well have wrote a personal check, right? Because it doesn't matter. So the best way to do it right now is to buy it in cash, especially right now where only certain amounts of people are going to accept these coins anyway. And in fact, a lot of retailers stopped accepting crypto altogether because of the volatility. So cash is a good option, and then you can get yourself a phone. Anyway, that's how I would do it if I'm getting started. Make sure you watch the privacy settings. Make sure you keep it on airplane mode. Make sure you keep it in a Faraday bag. Make sure you have a very base level phone like an iPhone SE or a base level Android or Google with Graphene OS. Those are great options to get started. And then make sure you're covering the camera and the microphone all the time. I've done videos on this channel where I show you how I use the mic lock and the camera cover. So even if I have my phone, it's never a possibility. Now you might be thinking, Cody, this isn't crazy. Now, why are people stalking every move you take and every move you make? You're clearly not that important. You're correct. But a lot of crazy stuff goes on to a lot of people, and it's just shocking. Nobody's that important, but how come thousands of people have been stalked and spied on and tracked with their own phones, the phones that we pay a lot of money for? So you're never that important until it happens to you. Same thing with identity theft. You're not that important until somebody steals your entire identity. So appreciate you checking out this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up, go all in everything you do in your life. Be private, be secure, and I'll see you guys in the next video.